Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Woman in Black month. So today we are going to be looking at my least favorite version of the Woman in Black. Now, I've talked about this one quite a bit in my other videos about it, and also I've actually talked about this one a lot just on my own. Heck, I've even done full reviews of it, just never really had the camera rolling when I do it. And I've honestly ranted about it for about 2 hours or so before, so I'm gonna try and make my points pretty quick, but just so you know, there's a lot more that I could say about the subjects, just I won't talk about in great detail here, but there are things I will talk about in great detail, so let's get into it. So this movie starts off by showing how it completely misses the point of the Woman in Black in the original story by having her being able to control kids with telepathy, I think. Just wow. Okay, so it's one of the major things that I had a problem with in this movie. I mean, like, yeah, I have a problem with mostly everything in this movie, but this is one of the other things I have a problem with. So, in this, for whatever reason, the Woman in Black can control children. Now, there are no rules set up to this. Like, okay, so you would naturally assume, like, yeah, okay, she can only control kids that are about the age that Nathaniel died, or at least younger. No, that's not how it works. She can control kids that were even teenagers. Nathaniel died when he was at least 4 or 5. So, yeah, controlling teenagers makes no sense, unless if the rules that they're setting up here are pretty much that any kid that was born after Janet Drablow died can be controlled by her, then I have no idea what rules they're actually setting up here. So, yeah, already, rules for this whole entire controlling children thing is completely gone. Now, another thing that I hate about this is that where did they get this from? It's never in the original story, nor is it in the 89 movie, so I have no clue where the heck they got this idea. It's just a completely asinine idea they just came up with for no absolute reason. It's just like, hey, the Woman in Black can control kids now. Why? I have no idea. We just want her to control kids because it makes an easier way for her to kill them, I guess, which there were actually easy ways for them to go about the murders of these kids in this movie. Like, oh, I don't know. Let's just take the opening kills. We got these 3 little girls who are being controlled by the Woman in Black to jump out a window. There's actually a better way to go about this, really. Having them already play at the window and then having them lean on the glass too much up to the point where it breaks. Pretty much the Woman in Black could just sort of cause them all to lean a little bit more towards the glass. That would have actually been a good way to go about it, and you could still do your stupid little poetic the doll looks at the death thing. I mean, like, yeah, you can't do the stupid glass breaking crap, but that was really never needed in the first place, so I have no idea why you would feel bad about losing that. So, yeah, there was a better way to go about doing this, and actually a way to follow the original story here, but nope. They just decided, I mean, it'll be easier if we just have the Woman in Black, magically control these kids to jump out the window, because, I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever, so therefore it's gotta be a perfect thing to fit in with this theme of the movie, and which that theme is pretty much making no sense. So then after that, and the opening credits, then we get to see another thing that I don't like about this movie, Arthur Kipps, sorry, I always think back to the good one. But yeah, we get Arthur Kipps in this. Yes, he is being called by his original name, as are most of the characters in this movie. But here's the thing, where the 89 movie followed the original story pretty well, only had some minor things changed in it, for no real reason, this one has fixed those minor changes, but pretty much completely destroyed everything that the original movie did well. So, yeah, pretty much you get a awful exchange there. Don't really know if that's a good thing here, that we get some of the things from the original book, but get nothing else that's actually good about it. So, Yeah, Arthur Kipps is still dealing with the death of his wife. Yes, Stella is dead in this version. Why? Because they want Arthur to believe in ghosts? Which is something that he never did in the book or in the original film, so I have no idea where this came from. It's just like, yeah, we just want Arthur to believe in ghosts because, then he'll believe in the Woman in Black stuff easier? But here's the amazing thing. You could just do that by having him see some of the things that go on during the Woman in Black story. You could just have that be going on and have him becoming a believer in ghosts. You could do the same thing here. Except for here, there's no development because he already believed in ghosts from the offset, so it makes no sense as to why they would put that in, because that gets rid of any slight little bit of character development that they actually could have put into their version of Arthur. But anyway, yeah, he's still upset about the death of his wife after 4 years. Yeah, I'm sure he hasn't had any time to move on there. But he does try and put on a cover for his son, who still is trying to deal with the death of his mother that he never knew. Oh, of course they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to do the completely asinine idea and just have him be completely depressed around his son all the time, be late on bills, and also be an alcoholic. Father of the Year. So, yeah, he's sent by his law firm to go to Cliff and Gifford. Again, it's called Cliff and Gifford. Don't know why. Maybe there was just a part in the original book that I missed where instead of going to Yorkshire, they said you're going to a specific part in Yorkshire, which is called Cliff and Gifford. Maybe I missed that part. I don't know, but it's still really weird that I keep on hearing them calling this one place Cliff and Gifford when it's supposed to be called Yorkshire. So he's sent there, and on the way there, he meets Samuel Daly. Yes, he's actually being called Samuel Daly here. And his dog Spider is actually a girl again. So, yay, we got that necessary change back. Did you really need to change that again? Like, I still don't get why they did it in the 89 movie, but seriously, if that's the only thing that you're actually gonna fix from that one, because nothing else in the original needed to be fixed, I don't get why even do it. So, yeah, so pretty much he gets a ride from Samuel to the inn at Cliff and Gifford, and pretty much they set up a little dinner thing for later. So, when he goes into the inn, we find another thing I hate. The town people. Oh my freaking god, these town people. God, okay, so the people in this town, what is wrong with them? So pretty much when they see Arthur coming into the inn, they just immediately assume that he's going to go deal with the Drablow estate and immediately decide to completely shun him and put him out in the cold for the night. Why? Like, what is your reasoning for doing this? Like, even some random people in the town are like, no, get away from him because, I don't know, he's a person in this town right now, get away. Like, do they just treat all outsiders like this, or is it just Arthur? Because did they magically know what he was here for? I mean, that would at least make some sense as to why they would treat him like that, but they never explain how they could have found that out at all. So, yeah, it really makes no sense whatsoever. And the whole entire town treats him like this, outside of Samuel Daly. In fact, both of the Dalys are really the only people who are actually slightly nice to him in this freaking town. What is wrong with this town? It's never explained, but it's a major problem in the movie. In the original, which is much, much, much better, guess how the town acts? Like a normal town! Outside of whenever they hear about the Drablows or their estate. That's when they actually act a little bit off. But then they quickly try to dismiss it. That's actually what added into a little bit of the atmosphere and how you can feel about how the story of the One in Black has affected the town. here, they completely shun him for even daring to go near the Drablow estate, but never actually tell him why they feel like this, in an attempt to actually, make him maybe not want to go there. And seeing as this version believes in ghosts, it would make at least a bit more sense as to why he would be able to believe them on this. You would think that that's actually why they would put in the ghost belief thing, but no, it's just there because, I don't know, he's supposed to believe in ghosts for no reason. It doesn't actually impact anything in the story, really, outside of a stupid little ending. So, yeah, the whole entire town acts really weird to him, but that's not enough to diminish Arthur's lot of spirit about going to this one stupid house and taking care of all of his paper documents in a week. Still don't know how he was supposed to do that in a week. But pretty much he goes to the town. He goes to meet up with a fellow solicitor who's supposed to help him out with this. But even this guy's terrible and already arranges a pony and trap to be able to take him to the train to get rid of him. It's like these people just don't want any money in their town or something. But of course Arthur does pay off Keckwick, and just so you know, Keckwick's an a-hole in this version. Don't know why. It's just, I guess it's following the pattern of the whole town in that everyone's an a-hole. So, yeah, Keckwick is paid off to go there because clearly it wouldn't be a good idea to just have his already main idea is just going to take Arthur to the Eelmarsh house. So yeah, he takes him to Eelmarsh house, and just this house, it looks like every other bland haunted house and every other bland horror movie remake. In fact, that's one thing that I noticed throughout this whole entire movie is that the main color palette is gray, black, and white, with a little bit of red and blue thrown in there, just to make sure that you know that it's not a black and white movie. And that's really, really, really annoying, and makes the two only bright colors in this movie feel very out of place. So, yeah, for the inside of the house, it's all dark and black and dark purples and reds, and it has to be completely dark, just like the narrative itself, because truly, the original house, which was bright originally, but the deeper that you go inside of it, the darker it becomes, much like how this tale is supposed to be. This one, it's just completely dark from the offset, so might as well make the interior of the house the same way. So, yeah, we get to see why this house would be put up for a pretty good price for an outsider from the town. Because, it has this great function with the water that it just sort of lets out mud instead. Truly, a house that everyone would want to buy. So yeah, even in the sequel, where apparently no one had been taking care of this house for a long time now, yeah, in that one, it actually has running water. So, yeah, it's actually being more taken care of than it was in this one. Don't know how or why someone was taking care of it more, but it is, for whatever reason. So, yeah, Arthur keeps on exploring the house. He sees the one in black once from the window, and he also hears the pony and trap falling into the marsh, and then Keckwick decides to jump scare him, because that's really the only type of horror that's in this movie. Jump scares! Yeah, that's another thing that I hate with modern horror. They think that jump scares and gore is actually what can make an effective horror movie. It's not. Actually well set up scares and suspense with only very sparing jump scares is what makes a good horror movie. You can even compare this to the original, where it had one jump scare in its entirety, and the rest of it was just a lot of build up to something that actually paid off. With this movie, it's just like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, and constantly going in about that order. There's even one moment in this scene, well, at least when he's in the house here, that I noticed that actually could have been set up in a very scary way. It's when the one in black puts her hand on a window while Arthur is trying to find something under a bed. Now, what really ruined the scene for me is that they put in focus the one in black's hand on the window and hold on it for a little bit. What actually could have made the scene scary is if we stayed out of focus on it, but still heard and slightly noticed her hand on the window. And then we pretty much need to remember what was right there, but we still have it engraved in our mind as to what was actually scary there. That would have actually made the scene a little bit eerie and actually would have felt a little bit more like the original book or film. But no, of course, we gotta focus in on the one in black's hand on a window and her running away because, I don't know. And they actually do try to do this later on with this whole entire eye and this weird, I don't know, photo thing. I forget the name of those things. But then, when they do it, his reaction isn't good. His reaction is just like, well, that was weird. Where in the other scene, where the horror was very much at the center where it shouldn't have been, his reaction was actually good. Maybe if they actually switched these two scenes around and actually had a good reaction to either one of these, or actually had a good build up here, then that would have actually been a good scene. But no, they decided to flip it around for no clear reason whatsoever. So, yeah, he just sort of leaves that house for a little bit, but then decides he's gotta go back. But before he does that, we gotta see him interacting with the Dailies. Here's another problem I have. Samuel Daly's wife. Now, why do I have a problem with her? Well, in the original, you can still see some tragedy over the loss of her son, but it's very undermined. It's there, and you can tell, but you can see that she is trying to get over it, and at least trying to deal with the fact that her son is dead. Here, they pretty much made her an insane person who decides that she's gonna take care of dogs like they're her own kids, because, I don't know, why not? And I guess that makes it good? I really don't know why they did that. Just for whatever reason, she takes care of dogs like they're her own kids and believes that her son can go within her or still lives within her and draws stupid pictures with knives. Amazingly, I think that that's a completely asinine change here, but I don't know, I guess they needed it for no reason. Although she only treats two of her dogs like this, she doesn't treat Spider like this. I don't know why. I mean, if you're gonna do it, at least make it consistent. So, after a quick chat with Sam, Arthur is ready to go back to Eilmar's house, although apparently Keckwick won't drive him this time because Sam's the one who brings him there. And it's kind of good that he did, because now he decided to give him Spider for a little bit, because he needs the company in this place. So Arthur continues to go through all the paper documents, because sorting through paper is a really fascinating endeavor. And then he starts hearing sounds and seeing the one in black everywhere, so eventually all this takes him to the nursery, where he sees "You could have saved him" written in blood or something, or in red crown, I don't know. So, yeah, I don't really know how Alice was supposed to save Nathaniel there, as, yeah, she was never really with him when he died, so I don't really know what Janet's implying there. Does she really just hate herself right now for not saving Nathaniel? I mean, like, I don't really know who that's supposed to be targeted at outside of her, because she was really the only one with Nathaniel in the Pony and Trap. So, yeah, I don't really know what she's implying there. And then we get another thing that I hate with this movie. They're actually trying to make you feel sorry for Janet Drablow. Bullshit. I do not feel a thing for Janet Drablow. The only thing that's kind of tragic about her is that she had her child stolen. Well, not even really stolen. She put up a good fight against it, though. So that's really the only point where you can actually feel any bit of tragedy for her. Everything that happened afterwards, which is supposed to be where you're feeling tragedy for her, is completely unjustified, because Janet Drablow was an awful person who, after having her child taken away from her, she decided to try and put her own misery onto everyone else in the town and onto her own kin. So really, she is a terrible person who you should not feel any sympathy for, but no, 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 no. This movie's going to be like, you should feel bad for her because she lost her child. Oh, boo freaking who. If she really wants a child back that bad, she can go do adoption or something. I mean, sure, it won't be her own kid, but at least she could still raise one. She doesn't need to be an awful person about it and be completely bitter towards it. But no, clearly, we're supposed to be feeling sympathy with her there somehow. So, yeah. Then Arthur pretty much comes up with the incredibly foolproof idea after finding out everything that happened with Janet and Alice and Nathaniel, is that pretty much he finds out that, well, okay, I think I can see a way to actually be able to stop her here. Reuniting her with her son, whose dead body is in the marsh. Don't know exactly how he's going to get that back. But yeah, apparently finds a way. He has Sam to be able to tie a rope around him and also his car, so then Arthur can go down into the marsh and be able to pull out Nathaniel's body, which surprisingly he actually does find and pulls off. I don't know how he does that or why it works, but whatever, he's able to do that somehow, and he is able to get out Nathaniel. So, now he decides to go take a little bit of a shower, and Sam's gonna go sit over and drink some beer. And the one in black doesn't bother them here because, I don't know. So, then Arthur sets up this weird little ceremony for the woman in black reuniting with her son, which is really pretty pointless because then they just sort of put the two corpses together, so I don't know why the heck he needed to put out this little candle ceremony thing for them. It's really pretty pointless, but anyway, he thinks that he's finally defeated Janet, although apparently he was supposed to burn everything like how it was done in the 89 movie. I wonder if in the 89 movie, if he had both reunited Janet with her son, or at least their corpses together, and then had the whole entire place burnt down, maybe he would have been fine. I wonder if that would have happened. Anyway, so now it turns out that the woman in black isn't gone, and she controls Arthur's son. I forget his name. I'm just gonna call him Eddie because that's what he was in the original. And yeah, she controls him to walk on a train track because this movie still has that stupid mind controlling of children crap. And then Arthur goes to save him and they die on the track, and then Sam sees the woman in black and all of her kidnapped kids' souls, because I guess she just sort of keeps them around for company or something, and then I guess he's a believer in this now. Whoop-de-doo, I'm so glad that happened. And then Arthur is reunited with his wife, and his son finally gets to meet her, so happy ending? And then we see that the woman in black and the villain of the horror movie looks away for a little bit, but then looks towards the camera because, I don't know. They just wanted to put that in there. Don't know why. It's really unneeded. So, that's the whole entire movie. I pretty much wanted to go into detail about it because I mainly just want people to not watch this. This version of it is terrible. I mean, there is only one thing that I'm actually kind of thankful for with this one, is that it actually sort of increased the popularity of the one in black. But outside of that, and the minor changes actually being corrected, like, you know, with the letters and the characters' names and Spider's gender, those things are fixed. Those are the only two things I can actually give as some credit to this movie. The rest of it is terrible. The horror is just jump scares all throughout it. The whole entire story is just butchered, because the original story is actually pretty interesting, and the 89 movie actually did it in a very good execution, which actually had some subtle build-up to things, and actually had scares that would come back. This one just decided to throw out all those good aspects, and instead decided to keep around all sorts of crap, like the one in black constantly screaming towards the camera, because that's needed. I don't know why. scares that actually could have been well done if they had a little bit more effort put into them, but unfortunately they don't, so the scares are very awful in this, and they're just a bunch of jump scares and shock horror, which doesn't work. The color palette in this whole entire movie is just a bland gray, black, and white. Oh, and sometimes a little bit lighter shades of gray. Ooh! The only real change up in color that we get sometimes is in one scene where this kid pukes some blood, and it's like this very, very bright red blood. I guess it's because it's a Hammer horror movie, which they're pretty much known for their very bright blood. I don't know, maybe that's why that was there. And also, some of the characters' eyes have some color in them. That's really the biggest amount of color change that we actually get in this. It's mainly just a bunch of bland, non-existent color, pretty much. And that really makes it a very boring film to look at, which I guess sort of just represents the whole entire movie itself. It's very bland, there's nothing really to get out of it, outside of a bunch of crappy jump scares that never even scared me, even when I watched it alone at midnight, in the complete dark. I still didn't even jump. So yeah, that's a good sign. And it just really fails as an adaptation, but that's not the only problems with it. Let's get into the characters. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I just forgot there. For the final score on the story, 1. It's terrible. I don't think I can give it a 0, so 1. So, when it comes to the characters, let's just start off with Arthur Kipps. So, yeah, is there anything good with him in this? I really wanted to say yes, but no. This version of Arthur Kipps is very, very bland. Like I said before, he's not a good father, so yeah, there's something that's already taken out. And really, he's more into stopping the woman in black for selfish reasons, which is pretty much just saving his son, which, okay, fine, I guess that isn't completely selfish, but still, in the original, you could tell he wanted to do that. He wanted to stop the woman in black because she was just a terrible person who was pretty much just spreading her hatred throughout the whole entire town, and made people afraid to even look at her. You could tell that was there, and also that he wanted to protect his family as well. So there was that for him, but in this version, it's pretty much just, well, my son might die, so, you know, I don't really want that, so, you know, I'm just gonna go stop her. And his whole entire reasoning, and yeah, his whole entire epic plan to stop her here is just reunite her with her son. Because she was already reunited with her son in the marsh, but I don't know, I guess reuniting them again would fix everything, somehow. But one thing I really, really didn't like about this version of Arthur is his acting. Oh my god, his acting. You can even call it that. So yeah, I haven't seen the Harry Potter movies, so apparently those are where Daniel Radcliffe is at his best. Either that or in Swiss Army Man, where he's dead. I haven't seen that one either, but I've heard that he's really good in that. I guess he's good at playing dead people, so that's something. So, yeah, really, I've only seen him in 2 things. This and Victor Frankenstein. In both of these, he was by far the worst actor in both. He spends the whole entire movie just looking like he's about ready to fall asleep. Even when he's talking about his dead wife. Yeah, when he's talking about his dead wife, who he feels very upset about, this is how he talks about her.
Sometimes I feel she's still with me. Sometimes I just feel she's there, in the room, trying to reach me.
Thank you, original Arthur. So, yeah, he talks about his wife like he's pretty much describing the loss of a goldfish, and honestly, that's how he acts throughout the whole movie. Like he's about ready to fall asleep during every scene. In fact, that's probably when he's at the best of his acting, when he's actually asleep. Yes, there are a few moments where he sleeps throughout the movie. Those are his best acting moments. So, yeah, that's saying a lot of good things for him. So, yeah, I really hate this version of Arthur Kipps, and it's by far the worst version ever put to film. So, yeah, after him, we have his son. I don't know, I forget his name. I'm just gonna call him Eddie. Eddie Kipps, because that's what it was called in the original. I know that he's called something different here, I just forgot what it was. He's in this movie. Pretty much the guiding force as to why Arthur wants to stop the One in Black, and that's pretty much his only point in this movie. Outside of that, he's just sort of there just to remind his father that his wife is dead, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Although we do get one good moment where Arthur pretty much tells him, "You look exactly like your mother." His mother's been dead for 4 years, so compliments? So, yeah, after him and all the incredible things that he brought to this movie, we then get Samuel Daly, who is probably one of the very few people that I actually kind of liked in this movie. He's really not that bad, and you can at least see that he's really trying to make this movie a bit better than it is. It's just that what he's been given to work with is awful, so he really has nothing to really make actually good or entertaining here, so he pretty much is left without anything to do. He does try really hard to make his role very good, but really, it's just that what he's given is terrible and there's nothing to really fix. So then after him, we have his wife. Forgot her name. And she is just wow. God, what? Like I said before, in the original, you can still tell there is some tragedy to how she feels about the tragic loss of her son, and she feels awful about it, but you can see that she is at least trying to move on. It's just that you can see that there is still a lot of sadness in her. Here, that sadness is brought completely into focus, and she acts like an insane person whenever she can. And that really makes her unlikable. It just really makes her seem like she's an insane person until she has two voices that she's speaking in. And at that point, they're pretty much just saying, the One in Black makes us do things, and she also holds the little kids that she kills hostage. Unless if we escape and go into our mothers, and then we can just sort of draw little pictures of something for no reason. And yeah, that's pretty much their big point. And honestly, she's just there to draw stupid pictures with knives and rocks and stuff. And really, it's just incredibly stupid, and I hated the role that she was given in this. She might have had minor roles in the original story and in the original movie, but you could still feel a lot of character from her. Here, they try and give her a bigger part, but that just is what destroys her character. So then after her, we have Alice Drablow. She's never in this movie. Yeah, she at least had a role to play in the original, but here they don't even go to her funeral. It's like she never even mattered outside of just getting Arthur to this town, even though in the original book and movie she's actually important. And we don't even get any letters or anything from her. We just sort of, just get some letters from Janet. So let's talk about her. I still hate Janet Drablow in this. She is a very awful version of the Woman in Black, who's pretty much just made for sympathy, which is a terrible way of actually representing her, and feels like they completely missed the mark of the Woman in Black. She somehow magically controls children with no real rules as to how that works, because they don't really explain any age barrier. I mean, you would think it would be at the age Nathaniel died, which is like 4 or 5, but then she kills off a teenager, which yeah, even with that scene, they could have done it better by having the teenager just die naturally in the fire instead of her lighting herself on fire and then just sort of standing there and dying, which was incredibly asinine. So, yeah, it really makes no sense as to what rules the Woman in Black has here. And yeah, she has none of the subtle horror that she used to have. She's just there, she does a lot of jump scares, and that's really all that she does. She's a awful version of the character, and I really do hate what they did with her. Then we got Nathaniel Dravlo. He's not really in this, nor is he that important outside of them getting out his corpse. So yeah, that's pretty much his big role. Although I guess that's kind of his role in the originals too. But he's just done really bad in this. So yeah, pretty much most of the characters outside of the townspeople, which are all insane. Like, for some odd reason, they just naturally assume that Arthur Kipps coming into the town will bring doom upon them. I mean, sure, they're kind of right, but I would at least like them to actually explain how they found out about what Arthur actually came in there to do, and also, if they didn't know, do they just treat the whole entire any tourist that comes into this town like this? I mean, I guess I can kind of understand that, because anyone else who is not aware of the Woman in Black story would kind of be a danger, as they could see the Woman in Black and not know the meaning behind it. But here's an amazing thing that you can do, townspeople. Tell them the meaning! Yeah! You can actually tell them why looking at the Woman in Black is a bad idea. There's actually something that I noticed while rewatching the 1989 movie, which I did watch last night, because I needed a good one again. And one thing that I noticed is that when the Woman in Black actually comes into the funeral, and she actually comes into the church, the priest is looking up as a direct way to try and avoid her, even though earlier he was looking straight at the two whole people in the crowd. So yeah, that's one thing that I just noticed, and honestly, there are little things like that I feel like if they were put into this movie more, then it honestly would have been a much better representation of the town. And, you know, maybe these townspeople were actually normal instead of incredibly asinine, just try to send him away because, you know, just getting rid of him will obviously fix all your problems. I mean, yeah, sure, you're still having a Woman in Black in your town, but at least one other person can't see her because he doesn't know what's going on. So yeah, if you actually try and explain this to him, no, that can't work. That can't help you at all. Wait, yeah, it can. So the townspeople in this movie are complete morons, and I just really hate the way that they were actually executed. And so, yeah, the characters in this movie, one, because there's only one of them that I actually slightly cared about, which is Samuel Daly, and really, he's the only one who actually tries to give a crap about what's going on here. The rest of the characters are just awfully portrayed and are pretty much just empty shells compared to their original counterparts. Mainly because the originals actually do have a lot of depth put into them. There's a lot of character and development for them. And honestly, you do really get to care about them. But in this, they are just completely ruined. Every single bit of character that was put into them in the original, or even some opportunities that they had with some of these characters, are completely destroyed. Like, one example of a character who could have actually been done well. It's the woman at the inn. Now, they make it kind of clear that her children are the three that jumped out of the window in the beginning, but with all the stuff in the attic being what we see in the opening. So, it makes it kind of clear that those were her kids. So you can see a little bit of sadness in her. And you can see that she at least wants to try and help Arthur. But she doesn't. And she only makes 2 appearances. Why? I don't know. You would think that she would at least want to try and stop the Woman in Black, or at least help Arthur in doing so, but no, clearly that's a stupid idea. No, she's instead just going to listen to her husband who says, don't do this unless she doesn't want to listen to him, and then she'll just be like, no, you go into this room. So yeah, she's completely contradictory as chance to any type of character that she could have had established, and actually she could have been an ally to Arthur instead of one of his many enemies within this town, but no, she just disappears before she's actually given any time for any type of development. So yeah, amazingly, I hate the way these characters were done. And even though there are some of them that actually could have had some character put into them, they are completely destroyed because they barely ever show up again, if they even show up again at all. So, for the characters, again, it's a 1 because they're all awful. So, for this movie overall, I hate it. I hate it with a burning passion. It's a complete butchering of the original tale and the original movie. The characters are weak and have absolutely no motivation or development like they were originally supposed to have. There is no depth in them whatsoever. And the horror is just a bunch of jump scares, which is supposed to be very scary, but it never is. Even if you watch it alone at midnight, it's still not scary in the least. It won't even get you to jump back once. And the sets are actually not that bad, but still, they're just a bland type of colors that you just get used to looking at throughout this whole movie, and the whole entire thing even just looks boring. It's all just a boring gray, brown, some white, and some black. That's pretty much the most color that we get out of this movie. Although what I really hate about this movie is that this is the one that started off the book's popularity again. People actually went to go and care about this movie, and I've even heard some people were afraid of this. I don't know why. Seriously, I have no clue why anyone would be afraid of this crap. But, seriously, this is the one that pretty much increased people actually getting an interest in the original book, which I guess I should be thankful for, but if this is the reason why people actually got interest in this thing again, I am really angry towards it for that, because I feel like it could have been done so much better, and actually could have been a way to actually get me happy that people were interested in something that I truly love. But no, it's an incredibly awful adaptation, but even on its own, it's a terrible standalone movie, which is just an awful version of The Woman in Black. The horror is terrible, the characters are terrible, the story is terrible, everything is terrible. So for this movie, 1. Actually, wait, no. 1. Just a 1. 1 out of 10. So, yes. I hate this movie. I hate everything in it. I hate the fact that this is the only one to get a sequel, which, yes, that's what I'll be looking at next week. Whoop-de-doo. And I just overall hate everything about it. So, yes, a 1 out of 10, and F you to this movie. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You didn't get before. I hate this movie with a burning passion. And honestly, this wasn't even all my thoughts on it. I probably could talk about it longer, but then we'd be here all day. So if you guys want to continue my anger-filled rage in the comments, please do. Seriously, I have so many more things I can talk about with this movie. But, yeah, if you guys don't want to, I can understand. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. 1 out of 10. Never watch this movie. Even if you have the slightest bit of curiosity, you'll immediately regret it. Just go watch the 89 movie again if you really want to see a film adaptation of The One in Black. Or just read the original book if you want it really done well. Really, both of those are much better than anything in this movie, and I just really regret having seen it 3 times. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Next week, the sequel. Why was this the only one to get a sequel, though? That's really what I just gotta ask. But, yeah, it's pretty much it. Bye. So, yeah, I went on about that for quite a little bit, and still have some anger towards this movie that I really need to work out. But I think that this one clip sums it up perfectly.
What the hell's going on?
Complete nonsense.